What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and for the most part on this channel, the last couple of days, all we've been talking about is how do the Red Sox fix the gigantic hole in the middle of this Red Sox infield. And for the most part, our solutions on this channel have all come from outside of the organization. We have talked a little bit about possibly moving Kike Hernandez to shortstop and seeing what that may look like, as well as acquiring another outfielder. But there may be a different solution that we have not even talked about once yet, and that is a guy already on this Red Sox roster, Christian Arroyo. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to take a look at what Christian Arroyo would look like as an everyday player on this Red Sox roster. We're going to look at the benefits of making Christian Arroyo an everyday player and plugging in one of these middle infield holes. We're going to talk about the negatives or the concerns of having Christian Arroyo be an everyday player, and we're going to try and come to some conclusion as to whether or not we think it is a smart idea to use Christian Arroyo to plug one of these middle infield holes. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the positive stuff before we get into kind of some of the concerns with Christian Arroyo. The good news before the bad news. We're going to start with Christian Arroyo's defense because it's actually pretty good. In 2022, he played 7 games at shortstop where he had a 1 in defensive run saved. Now, in terms of defensive runs saved, it really kind of varies as to what the average in the major leagues is. It's somewhere between -1 and 1. So he's on the higher end of the average when it comes to defense at shortstop. Now, at second base, we've got a little bit of a larger sample size. He played in 40 games for the Red Sox at second base in 2022, and he had a much better defensive run saved. He finished with 4 in defensive runs saved, making him a well above average second baseman, at least defensively. So at the end of the day, whether you decide to plug him into second base or shortstop, he's going to give you high average to above average defense. Now, in my opinion, it makes way more sense for him to play second base for this Red Sox team. One, because he does have more experience there. He played 40 games again in 2022 for the Red Sox. He also played the most games out of any position at second base in 2021 as well. And 2, because obviously statistically 4 defensive runs saved is better than 1 defensive run saved. So if it was up to me, I would have him be a solution defensively for second base. But either way, regardless of which one you're going to put him in, he's going to give you solid defense all around. As for his offense, that's actually fairly decent as well too. He finished 2022 at above league average statistics with a 286 average, with a 322 on base percentage and a 103 OPS plus in 280 at bats. So he actually ended up being above average at the plate in 2022 by about 3% according to his OPS plus. Now, he did have a bit of a smaller sample size than the average everyday player in baseball, but still, those are really solid statistics for a guy who only got into about half the games this year. And what makes Christian Arroyo even more compelling at the plate is the fact that there may be more for Christian Arroyo to unlock at the plate than what we saw in 2022, because for the second half of 2022 he was absolutely on fire. When he came back from the IL, it seemed like no one could get him out, and his stats reflect that, because he finished the second half of 2022 with a 329 average, with a 355 on base percentage, a 451 slug, and a 119 OPS, just under 20% more productive than the average player in baseball in the second half. So if he could somehow meet in the middle of his average for his yearly statistics and his second half statistics, you're talking about a player who could get to 110 OPS plus, making him 10% more productive than the average player in baseball. And that is honestly much better than what you're going to get from a free agent that could fit into the middle infield. Now, trades are a bit of a different story, but if you take a look at the 2 top free agents remaining, you're talking about Elvis Andrus, who sat right around that 102, 103 OPS plus mark, and you're talking about Jose Iglesias, who was right around that 92 OPS plus mark. So he was slightly below average, and Christian Arroyo, if playing a full season, could possibly get to more productive at the plate than both of those guys. So it really does seem like statistically Christian Arroyo could be a perfect fit to be a guy who becomes an everyday player for this Red Sox team. He's got the defense, he's got the offense, and he's got the potential to be better at both of those given the opportunity to play every single day. As it seems with every single solution that we have come up with for the middle infield problem on this Red Sox team, there are some concerns with having Christian Arroyo out there. The biggest concern right now surrounding Christian Arroyo and his ability to be an everyday player on this Red Sox team is his ability to stay healthy. Now, Christian Arroyo has been with the Boston Red Sox for 2.5 years. He was picked up off of waivers in 2020, and in that 2.5 year time span, he's only played in 158 games for this Red Sox team. That's less than a full season in 2.5 years. Now, the biggest reason that is because of the fact that the Red Sox have, for the most part, utilized him as a bench role type player. He has never been an everyday type player for this Red Sox team, and that's going to drastically reduce the number of games you get into as a player in baseball. The other reason, though, that this number is so low is because of the fact that he has spent a pretty decent amount of time on the IL with this Red Sox team. In that 2.5 year time frame, he spent 6 different stints on the IL, which seems like a lot in that 2.5 years. This makes it look as though Christian Arroyo is injury prone. However, there are some silver linings to this injury concern. The first is that he's never really had any major injuries with the Boston Red Sox. Like I just said, he got hit in the hand, he had a couple bouts with COVID, he tried to make a ridiculous play at first, pulled a hamstring. In fact, none of these have required surgery, none of these have been season ending, and all of these stints have been marked as a 10-day IL stint, which is usually for lesser injuries. So it's not like Christian Arroyo is spending a ton of time on the IL when he is on the IL. It's just really the number of times he ends up on the IL that are concerning. The other silver lining here is the fact that those injuries were kind of ridiculous in their own right. It may tend to point towards Christian Arroyo simply being unlucky as opposed to being injury prone or fragile, which could be a really good thing. Now, the other concern that is surrounding Christian Arroyo is actually kind of a double-edged sword because it's good and it's bad, and that is that he's really valuable in the role that he is in now. We learned just how valuable a utility player can be in 2022 when literally all of our team was getting injured every other week, right? The Red Sox have said publicly that they really value Christian Arroyo's ability to play almost every single position on the field, right? He even pitched an inning in 2021. This dude can do just about anything. So that could actually prevent Christian Arroyo from being able to play every single day. The fact that he's so valuable as a utility guy, because if you take him out of the bench, you don't have anyone else who can go and play third base for 2 games, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, hop in at second base and fill in for someone when they're injured. Everyone else on the bench is sort of in a specialized role. We don't really have that Swiss Army knife type player that Christian Arroyo is if we put him on the field every single day. The two concerns with Christian Arroyo are really his health and the fact that if you take him off the bench and put him into an everyday role, you create a pretty decent sized hole on the bench that may be a little bit difficult to fill, which kind of puts me in a tough place when trying to figure out if Christian Arroyo being an everyday player is an actual solution to this problem. I think Christian Arroyo, given the opportunity to be an everyday player, could really excel. We know the defense is there, and if they do decide to put him at second base, I think he'll excel defensively. We saw what he can do offensively in a season. He's slightly above average, but that second half shows that there may be more to unlock with Christian Arroyo, especially if you give him a bigger sample size. But those concerns are huge too, because health-wise, even if he's not actually injury prone or fragile, being a bit unlucky can be a problem as well. We need guys right now who are going to be able to play every single day, and unfortunately we just simply can't say that for Christian Arroyo right now because of his history. The other thing too is we're going to make our bench worse by putting Christian Arroyo out there. Will it be easy to find a guy who can play the amount of positions Christian Arroyo can? I don't really know. Can you trade for a lower level guy who can just be a defensive replacement? Maybe, but how does that help the bench of this Red Sox team? So I'm kind of down the middle on this one. I think he'll be great, but I don't know if putting him in every single day is going to be worth it in the long run for this Red Sox team. So Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? What would you do if you were the front office or the manager of this Red Sox team? Would you say, yes, Christian Arroyo deserves a spot to play every single day, whether that be shortstop or second base? Or are you saying, no, he's either way too injury prone and we can't risk that, or he's way too valuable on the bench and we need him there? Where are you at with Christian Arroyo being a possible savior for this Red Sox team? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.